New financial data for Canada Post shows just how grim the situation is. They are citing declining revenue and stiff competition.
Time to say we need to look at everything and be flexible because this is an important institution. It matters to Canadians, but we can't just keep going the way we've been going.
Yeah, the Crown Corporation posted another whopping pre-tax loss in 2023, $748 million. And the Postal Service warns that without more loans or refinancing, it expects to run out of operating funds by early next year. Canada Post has been losing money since 2018. In fact, it's lost about $3 billion since then. Joining me now is Ian Lee, Associate Professor in the Sprott School of Business at Carleton University. Professor, thank you as always for joining us.
My pleasure, Roger.
Massive losses, another big year, a big terrible year, I guess you could say, for 2023. What's contributing to all this?
This has been going on since 2006. It can be dated precisely to the annual report that shows that letter mail peaked in 2006. And we're not talking dollars and playing with inflation and all that. 7 billion pieces of mail were delivered in 2006. From then until now, that has declined to 2 billion pieces. That means that 70% of the entire business of Canada Post has vanished, gone forever, because it is that we all know about. It's the digitization of everything. Our young people are the most digitized people in the world. You know, nobody writes letters to their grandmother anymore. You send a text, or you go on social media, you know, or you Skype, or whatever, as we're doing right now. And so, you know, I mean, it's affecting not just this industry, it's broadcasting, banking, universities, education, everywhere. And that business, Roger, is not coming back. The core business that was from the very origins of the post office until the present is disappearing. And I predict within 5 to 6 to 7 years at most, there'll be no letter mail left in this country. It'll be gone. And so they've got to reorganize, restructure really quickly to focus on the only thing left that they can focus on, and that's parcels.
Now, can they compete, though, with UPS and other groups like that for parcels?
Right now, no. Now, if you look at, and the data supports what I'm saying, in the last 3 years, they lost half of their market share. In their press release, they said, well, you know, the pandemic. That's a bit misleading, and I explain why. Because during the pandemic, e-commerce skyrocketed. StatsCan data is very clear on this. It went through the roof. We all started shopping online because we couldn't go to the stores. So while the market demand was going up, Canada Post share was going down very dramatically. What that means is they're not competitive as they are currently structured. So they've got to become much more competitive and dynamic and flexible in order to focus on parcels, because that, if anything's going to save the post office, it will be the parcel post market.
What do they need to do, though? Do they have to start laying off? How do they even try to compete?
The advice I've given, I gave this actually to the Blue Ribbon panel set up by Prime Minister Trudeau in 2016-17. They rejected my advice. I will put that out there. They disagreed with me completely. I said, you know, we've got to, and I know this is very unpopular. It sounds very unpopular. Basically, there's no justification to continue indefinitely into the future 6,000 post offices. People aren't going there anymore because we're not using the post office. And that's costing over $1.5 billion a year just to maintain these Potemkin post offices that people don't go to anymore. And so we're going to have to scale back very dramatically the entire infrastructure organized around the delivery of letters that people are no longer writing, or invoices that people are no longer sending, or payments in the mail that people are no longer using because they're using electronic funds transfer. So in other words, they've got to focus instead on the last mile, which is the delivery of parcels to all of the Canadians that use the post office. But very quickly, Roger, we are talking, and that's the reality, it's going to be a much smaller post office for the simple reason that the Parliament mandates that they go down to every address, 16 million addresses in Canada, every day of the week, even if there's no mail to take. Whereas with parcels, you only take the parcel to the door if there's a parcel to deliver to the door. That's going to be a smaller post office. How small? 20,000 people instead of 60,000 people? I'm pulling numbers out of the
Yeah,
air
yeah.
for sure, but it'll be much smaller because you're only going to that address when you have something to go there. Right now, they go down every address, every street in this entire country 5 times a week, and that's what I'm calling the Potemkin post office, because people aren't writing and using the post office anymore
Okay.
for letter mail.
Some difficult choices ahead for the post office. Thanks very much, as always, Professor.
My pleasure, Roger. Thank you.
Ian Lee is an associate professor in the Sprott School of Business at Carleton U.